Hi, this is Kevin Croak, head coach at UCD Rugby Club. In this series of interviews, in conjunction with club sponsor Crow, we talk to past and present players who share their memories of the club and how it has impacted their career both on and off the field.
Great to see you. Thanks very much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you here. I guess what we want to talk about is the things in UCD about forging relationships and fostering talent. So, in terms of your experience, you came from Clongowes into UCD. How did you find that transition between playing in school against guys, and now all of a sudden you're playing with guys you used to play against in a fairly highly charged and competitive environment?
Yeah, I think it was probably the best thing for me, really. A lot of people that go into college are probably, it's quite cliquey coming from school, no matter what school you're in, whether it was down the country or whether it was in the city or wherever. So I found that very good for just the social aspect of kind of spreading your wings a bit and getting to know different people from different backgrounds, different places in the country. And the diversity of that was definitely a good thing for me. And going into college, I was lucky enough to be able to play for UCD as well. So that kind of married with the studying side of it was just a really good kind of social network to go into post school.
And in terms of the guys you would have come in and played with, is there any kind of standout guys that just you met day one, you're like, wow, that guy's good, and you've maintained relationships and friendships with those guys to date?
Yeah, definitely. I think an awful lot of the guys I played 20s with, I'd consider good friends. Some of them I've kept in contact with more than others for lots of different reasons. I mean, I'm 34 now, so people have gone their different ways from college. Some are still in the country, some are away, but I know that if I saw them tomorrow, you'd pick up like yesterday, those great days we had in Hartigans and after colours and on the bus and all of those things. It's just kind of memories you'll have forever. I think the 20s rugby for me was some of my most enjoyable years. Definitely was coming out of school and into that, because the system in college is a really strong one on the coaching front, and generally the teams there, since I've been and since I've left, they win rugby matches, which makes it more enjoyable. But also there's a big social side as well, which was probably the part that I really liked, because I was stuck in boarding school for 6 years. So there was never any shortage of cans at the back of the bus with you guys as well. So
when you came out of school, who were the players that stood out to you that you were like, geez, he's really good? That it might have been somebody that maybe you didn't expect, or it might have been somebody you were playing against the year before, and now suddenly or 2 years before, and now you're suddenly playing with them. But when you came in, who were the couple of players that you thought, geez, they're really good?
Jeez, well, I remember the first few days up at the first croaky, I was like, I knew who you were after I tried to hit you when you're holding the bag, and that's for sure. I think I nearly put my back out. But when I first came out, probably I was a whole bunch of guys. It was a group of guys that I knew from the school system, but then there was also other guys that I didn't know from the school system that were, brilliant players. I remember Keane Ahern was a brilliant winger, and he played for UCD for a while and moved on to Lansdowne. I think then he was a fantastic player from Munster. And there was a whole bunch of them, really. There was Conor McInerney and Richard Sweeney, two Mary's guys, Sean O'Brien, a youths player that I think everyone knows, anyone that watches rugby knows who he is, Ian Keatley, Killian Lett, great player from King's Hospital, and he played for college for many a year. Went on to win a Towns Cup with Enniscorthy. So just a whole raft of those guys. I'm probably leaving a whole bunch out as well, but I was lucky enough to go into a 20s team that was full of talent, across the board. Fazi Artemiev, another player, brilliant player. So yeah, lucky enough to have kind of mixed with those guys on and off the pitch.
You came into the senior squad, as I remember, pretty early. You would have transitioned into the squad and would have been rightly bedded into it from pretty early on. How beneficial was it to you playing adult rugby so young in terms of aiding your development as a player?
I think there was kind of there was two sides to this coin, because like I came out like probably wanting to play with the first kind of immediately in a way, or try and play for the first and see if I could compete. But in another way, I kind of probably wasn't ready, physically wasn't ready. And I only realized that when I went up. So I played most of the season with the 20s and really enjoyed that. And then I was playing well enough, so I got called up to kind of train with you, and went well in some ways, but it was steep learning in other ways. Like, it was just proper grown men, that different strengths, different physicality. Like, the game was not that it was slower, but it was probably slower in some parts of the game. Like, there are probably not as many lean athletes as 20s are coming out. There's not a pick on anyone, do you know what I mean? But then you go up to the first, and there's a spot for the likes of an Anto Lee, who like can pin the life out of anyone, and he's not going to get around the field. But like those sort of nuances that you need in a good AIL team. So just learnings on that front. Hitting as I said again, hitting the likes of you, just men who like been playing that level for so long, was a bit of a like Jesus. So it was like, I wouldn't have said it was completely smooth sailing straight away. Like, there was some games that I got lucky enough to kind of play in that I felt I did well, and other ones you got your tail between your legs, because you're coming up against, I suppose people probably forget that like the standard of really good AIL teams in comparison to, say, like a Leinster A team is not actually a million miles away. It's just people that, didn't end up pursuing a professional career, and I think the standard is really high there. So you can get exposed pretty quickly. So you learn a lot from it. Like, and I think I did.
For you, coming out of school, what was the draw to come into UCD?
Yeah, I suppose like I didn't know that much about club rugby in Dublin or in Ireland, really, to be honest with you. Like, I'd played for Kildare growing up at minis, like real minis, just before I played Gaelic football. And then when I went into school in Clongowes, it's all the rugby. And like, when you're in, like, the school system like Clongowes is predominantly rugby, you do get really sucked into this bubble where you think it's the world. Like, the cup runs, that's all that matters. You think the whole world is watching. And then I suppose when you leave, as I said about the guys I met earlier on, your horizons just broaden, which is the kind of the best thing for you. And I was like, we didn't even have much of a cup run when I was in sixth year. I played fifth and sixth year, and then sixth year we got knocked out in the first round. Like, I've never been so good in my life. I'd take a week off school. But I, like, a couple of months later, I got so I'd applied to UCD to a couple of courses, and I got a letter a couple of months out from the leaving that I got a scholarship to UCD. And I remember just thinking, like, wow, like, I literally felt like I got in the golden ticket. Like, I'd never expected that. And it actually gave me, I reckon it made me do better. Not that it did, I wouldn't become a rocket scientist from my leaving, but I definitely did better in my leaving from that, because I remember going, this is just too good an opportunity not to make sure I get into this place and try and play there. Like, I did know that UCD was like a high performance center for lots of sports, whether it's athletics, like soccer, and I knew the rugby as well. So just once I got that, it was huge incentive to try get involved. And then when I arrived, I suppose I arrived around all those other talented guys, and also other talented guys that didn't get scholarships. Like, there's lots of guys that I played with on the 20s team and on the first team that were just as capable, if not more. Sometimes these people in school that have a reputation, or like they don't necessarily kick on, and some guys are the actual opposite, and there's plenty of those guys that I played with as well.
All the lads that have come on have spoken about games that stand out to them, whether it's, and we'll probably get to the colours in a minute. Is there any game that stands out to you as being particularly special?
Oh, yeah, there is. There's probably two that stand out to me. Like I had lots of great memories of 20s, but I suppose the two that stand out for me were probably with the first team. One of them was, it was like a kind of not quite a playoff game, but it was the last game of the season between ourselves and Belfast Harlequins, and it was basically a relegation match. So we were very close on points at the bottom of the table. Whoever won it was going to stay up. And I remember just the crowd around the bowl was unreal. It was a really nice day, even though I think the score was only 6-3. So we managed to stay up, and it was just proper, like just the scenes afterwards and how much it meant to everyone, like the Alakadoos, people that were involved in the club. That was pretty special one for me. And then to have been involved in the other one that stands out is I can't remember which year it was, but we went to play Clontarf. This is my favorite, actually. We went to play Clontarf in the is the bull ring they call it, or what is it again?
Yeah,
the bull ring. Yeah. And it was kind of historically a place that wasn't a great stomping ground for UCD to go to. Generally get beaten and you head back in the bus or cars, and it wouldn't be ideal. Because Clontarf, obviously, they probably I don't know if it's still the case, but they just have older guys that have been around the block a lot longer, more experienced guys. Definitely was the case when I was playing at that stage. We had a younger team. They had older guys, successful AL players for quite a while. But it was like the worst weather I think I've ever played in my life. And we managed to beat them narrowly by 2 or 3 points. The first time we won there in years. And I remember there was pictures of people after the game, and we looked like your man from that, Fran Cotton from that, where he's just literally covered in muck. You couldn't even make out who was on what team towards the end of the match. But I remember that one because it was proper. It wasn't champagne rugby, but it kind of was. It showed the character of the team. It was like a team we hadn't beaten in a way for so long, and that was probably the standout one for me. Yeah.
Ferg, did you play in the colours?
I did play in the colours. I think my colours was. Yeah, it would have been 2007 or 2008. We lost, unfortunately. So only one colours, and I lost the game. Where we lost the match, unfortunately. Got taken off after around 64 5 minutes. I had a concussion. I got taken off, and it was pretty gutting to lose that. Because I think, from my recollection, we were a better team than Trinity, but just on the day we just weren't good enough and lost. So a bit of a regret.
I guess, Ferg, what was your feeling running off your first cap, and allied to that, what was the first moment you thought, "Oh Christ, welcome to Test Rugby"?
Are you talking about UCD now? Or are you talking
about in your Ireland caps?
Ireland caps, yeah. Ireland caps. First one. Geez, I just remember it was a very emotional week. It's kind of tough enough. Some guys might manage it differently, but I remember when Declan Kidney announced the team in the Killiney Hotel there. It was probably there was a bunch of guys. I see younger guys come up at the moment, and they just seem like they're so confident coming out of school. They always feel like they're ready to play in the Lions and play for Ireland. But I genuinely wasn't like that. I didn't. I was when I was in Irish camp for the first time, I was a bit surprised, and then when I was around all those guys that I've been watching in school, I was still almost looked up to them. And then I got picked. I get picked on a team with the likes of Dennis Leamy and Raj and Drico and all these people. I was Jesus Christ, am I ready for this? And I was nervous, but obviously very excited. But it was emotional because I remember calling my dad. I left the team meeting, it was 10 minutes before he jumped in the bus to go to training when he announced the side. and I was announced on the wing, and I called my dad, and yeah, my old man was just like, I could hear him like, you know, pretty emotional, upset on the phone, and that just set me off. So yeah, the week of it like is kind of something like I never experienced before, because like first cap for Leinster was unbelievable, and I was shocked that happened. But then with Ireland, like people, you get texts from people that I could have been coached when I was 6 years old, some people that I hadn't heard of in donkey's years, and that kind of blows you away really, because it's wide reaching, and that was a class part of it. Thankfully, we won the game. We were playing Italy. We won the game. Raj knocked over a drop goal, thanks to God. Otherwise, it would have been a day to forget from, like, in terms of a first cap. But first day where I thought, oh, geez, welcome to Test rugby was probably, it was probably just the following week. Like, I didn't think the Italy game was that tough, but we played against France the following week. And again, there was guys playing that I just never dreamt I could have been sharing a pitch with, the likes of Poitrenaud and Yannick Josiant and Freddie Michalak and all these lads that like were superstars in my eyes. So like I remember that day was like nothing probably happened where I was going, I got embarrassed or anything in specifically, but I do remember the physicality and stuff it was on a different level than you know, you had like Haran O'Erdeke, you had Thierry Dusautois, like lads who were still playing in their prime and they're proper animals, and that was like a bit of a rude awakening kind of for me to go, like, if I'm going to play more at this level, like I need to like improve. So that was it. Like,
final question, what was your favorite memory wearing the Ireland jersey?
Favorite memory, Jesus, ironically, like your first cap is obviously the one that sticks out, and that's the one you're going to stick on the wall and stuff like that. But like, probably be caught between two. I'd say one of them was we played France in the last game of the 2014 Six Nations, and I came off the bench for, I don't know, 20 minutes or something like that. And I played in all the games in the Six Nations, but like we had to win that game. I think if we won the game, we'd win the championship. We hadn't won the Six Nations for quite a while. It was Joe Schmidt's first campaign, and last play of the game, we managed to hold them up on our 22. They went through a load of phases, and that was just the feeling of that was pretty special, because I'd never won anything with Ireland before. Never kind of dreamed that I would, and yeah, just that feeling was unreal. The other one was probably a game that I had very little involvement in, but just to kind of be there and be on the field for it was the Johnny Sexton drop goal against France again in Paris. Both of them were in Paris, where the team, like, we managed to go through something like 47 phases. Everyone on the team touched the ball. Like, it was a shit day, but we managed to get up from our 22 to their like 10-meter line, and Johnny knocked over that drop goal. That'll really kind of go down as one of those iconic moments in like 40 years, to be looking back on, reeling in the years, and like, you know, going, wow, because like we all just massive pylon was the last play of the game. Like, in terms of like euphoric feeling on a pitch, that was one of the best I've ever felt. It was because, you know, even though we put ourselves in that position, you never think someone's going to be able to knock that over from there in that condition. So that was like a really special one to even just have been involved in.